Hi everyone, good evening sa inyong lahat and welcome to the day 4 ng ating Olern Live. This is Jerry Ilaw, the founder of Olern, and for those of you who are watching, please say hi and where are you from sa ating chat box. Yan, please say hi and where are you from sa ating chat box. And also please don't forget to share this episode so that more people will benefit from it. Exciting yung pag-uusapan natin this tonight. Again, this is Jerry Ilaw and this is Olern Live. So let me introduce my partner and co-host. He is the chairman of AFI and the founder of Retail Academy, also the director of PMA and OD consultant, Mr. Eric Kaeg. Yan. Hi, Sir
Hey,
Eric.
good evening, Sir Jerry. Good evening to all of our viewers tonight. We have an exciting discussion tonight for all of our viewers, and we're looking forward to it.
Yes, maraming nanonood ngayon. Si Arwin from Lipa. Also, Carlo is here. Carlo Valencia. Hi. So for those of you who just came in, please say hi and where are you from sa ating chat box. Okay. Sir Eric, kumusta ka na?
I'm good. I'm joining you via audio, and it's great to be back. And looking forward to this fourth edition already.
Yes, actually, so for those of you who just came, just tuned in, this is the fourth day that we're doing this. So the first one we have from UAE, right? Jim Laffert
Yes, Jim
talked
Lafferty.
about um, yeah, how you can build a world-class organization. And then on the
Yes,
second day, we have Jeff Chua, who talked about
yes. For
negotiation. Yes, and
last
then
night, Miss Claire Scott.
last night naman si Miss Claire. Yon. So si Carlo Kaliman is also here. Hi Carlo. Yon, for those who just came in, please say hi and where are you from sa ating chat box, and also don't forget to share this broadcast so that more people will be able to watch it. Yan. So
Sir
Eric,
Jerry,
ano pag
para excited sila, no? We had two international speakers, and our speaker for tonight is also coming from offshore, and she just came in to the Philippines a while, few months back, no? And we're gonna talk about something that is everyone is trying to adapt to, which is the
Yes.
WFM, or the work from home. And tonight, we'll hear from our speaker what are the strategies to make this effective for both employer and employee while we are under this quarantine stage.
Yes, actually, we were caught by surprise with this enhanced quarantine. So kami din, we were not practicing work from home before, pero given this enhanced quarantine, we were forced to. So
Well,
ngayon, yon kinakapa-kapa kung paano gagawin yung work from home.
I'm sure for those who are really used to working in the office where you have all the resources in the environment, this is something that you are all trying to adjust to. And tonight's session will be a great guide for everyone.
Yes. Ayan. So, siguro we can introduce her. Si Ma'am Joyce is here. Past
Yes,
president
for
ng AFI.
hi, Ma'am Joyce. Good evening.
Yes. Okay. So let me introduce our special guest tonight. Ano ba? Afternoon ako ng afternoon. Tonight. Um, but before that pala, Sir Eric, let us thank our co-presenter ng virtual summit ng Olern,
Yes,
si
please.
Union Bank. Yan, si Union Bank. Thank you so much, Union Bank Global Linker, si JP Soliman. And si Mau, thank you so much for supporting us dun sa first ever virtual business summit ng Pilipinas, yon, Olern Virtual Summit, which happened last March 3 and 4. And our advocacy partner, si AFI, thank you so much. Si Go Negosyo, Philippine Marketing Association, Philippine Retail Association, Let's Eat Pare, Institute of Management Consultants of the Philippines, Retail Academy, Lipreneur, and of course, yan, Olern. So maraming salamat sa ating mga advocacy partners. Yan.
So Jerry, special shout out to our partner Global Linker. The two founders are watching. Samir in India and Sumi in New York, USA.
Wow, yan. Hello po sa inyong lahat. Thank you so much for watching all the way from India and New York. May mga nakikita ko mga lipreneurs, sina Rose, sina Donna. Hi sa inyong lahat. So, thank you for watching. For those who just came in, please say hi and where are you from sa ating chat box. And don't forget to share this episode so that more people will be able to watch it. Okay? Now, let me
Okay.
introduce our speaker this evening. Sir Eric, we will do a what we call this a different setup this evening. So instead of playing the audio from the virtual business summit that we did last March 3 and 4, we will have a live speaker to talk
Yes.
about 4 strategies for effective work from home. So she is a consultant, a learning designer, and facilitator. Please help me welcome Miss Elizha Corpus. Hi
Hi,
Eliza.
everyone. Good evening.
Good evening, Eliza.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone.
Yes, maraming nanonood sa atin ngayon, Eliza. Um,
Global.
maybe you can say something about yourself. We understand that you came from Microsoft, also worked for abroad.
Mhm. Yeah, so actually, I only moved to the Philippines in 2018. But before that, I was working in Microsoft's Global Learning and Development team. I was living in Seattle in the US, and most of the programs I worked on were directly related to the culture initiatives of Microsoft. And it was a very global world. We had 130,000 employees worldwide. So a lot of our training programs, a lot of our resources had to go out to all of these people all over the world.
Okay. And
Great.
then how did you what do you call this um, came about this work from home? Where this the inspiration to really share your expertise about working from home?
Yeah, so the thing that I'm very grateful about is in Microsoft, work from home was just anyone can do it at any time. So it wasn't like a rule or anything like that. It was a benefit that we all can choose to work from home whenever we wanted. And it didn't matter what day, or it doesn't take away from your leaves or anything like that. So I was very used to working from home because it's something I did a lot back there in Seattle. I also had remote managers. So I was living in Seattle, my manager was in Minnesota. I would only see her like once or twice every year. And that's how I got used to it. And then I came back home here, and I, especially now with all this community quarantine measures going on, I just started hearing from everyone that they were panicking because they didn't know how to use work from home. And so I thought, like, I'm so used to it, and I learned a lot of skills along the way because of my arrangement in the US. And so I started giving free webinars last week, and based on the reception that I got, it does sound like a lot of companies are trying to figure it out and really trying to do the best they can, because everything happens so fast and we're all just trying to learn as we go along the way.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, a lot of companies, I think SMEs or Eric, right, are not used to working from home. So this is something. This is a new environment for them. This is something. Ayan, they are trying to adopt. So it's good that you will share 4 strategies that can help them work from home, effectively implement the work from
Yeah.
home.
And
Yes.
actually, it's not just small companies that are just feeling it out. So even big companies that are already established, I heard from like a lot of friends, clients, and colleagues from big companies that they're also just scrambling to implement their work from home arrangement. So lahat tayo dito.
Yes. So, we have viewers from Tagum City. Magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat.
Yeah, ang daming nanonood. Yeah, so maybe we can hear your presentation. Are you okay with that,
Sure.
Sir Eric?
Yes, let's go.
Yeah,
Sure. So
so
I will share my screen.
yes, please. So for those of you who just came in, please say hi and where are you from sa ating chat box. And also, please share this episode so that more people will be able to benefit from it. And this is again day four ganun, of our Olern live. Yeah, and we're doing this every 8 p.m. And if you want, for those of you who are not yet subscribed, just go to www.olern.com/live so that you will be notified when we go live. Okay? So yan.
Yep. Let's
Okay,
go.
so take it away, Eliza.
All right. So again, hi everyone. For oh, for the next 20 or so minutes, I'll just go through quickly some strategies that we can use for working from home. I have some guidelines in here, but the more detailed versions will be shared through a downloadable folder after this webinar. Okay, there we go. I was hearing a little bit of an echo back there, but I'll go ahead and get started. So before we dive deep into working from home, I wanted to ground us into the trends. What is happening worldwide in this work from home situation? So about 70% of people globally work virtually at least 1 day a week. This is from a CNBC survey that they did in 2018. What we can get from this is it's not really a new trend. A lot of companies worldwide have been doing work from home. It's just that our situation now is a little bit different because we were pushed into this. And then 53 people, or that's half of the working population in the world, 53 people actually work remotely for at least half of the week. So as you can see, it's not just a 1 day arrangement that some companies are doing. Some companies are actually letting their people go through half of the week just working from their homes. And the next 9/10 of remote workers plan to work remotely for the rest of the year. So we can sort of tell here that once you go work from home, you can never go back. It's something that it looks like a lot of people enjoy and they see a lot of benefits from it. So based on my own experience, the benefits that I got from working from home are I got to be there in my apartment whenever like something important was happening, like if a housekeeper needs to come in or if a family member is visiting. So it just gives you more time to do the other things in your life, basically. Another benefit that I personally got from work from home was I was able to really craft the kind of environment that I can work creatively in. So my job before, it needed a lot of creative work because you're designing workshops, you're writing, you're making resources. My personal style is I need to be as comfortable as possible when I'm writing. So I need to sit in a really good chair, wear something comfortable, and all of that I can do when I'm working from home. Next, I'm sure a lot of you guys and a lot of companies are worrying about productivity when it comes to working from home. What we know is about 13%. So employees who worked from home are 13% more efficient and more productive compared to those who work in the office. This is an interesting study, so I want to share a little bit about it with you. So Stanford, a group of their researchers, they did an experiment in 2017 on work from home. It's one of the first experiment-based studies on working from home. What they did was they went to a company in China. It's called C-Trip. C-Trip is a travel agency. And what they did was, for this one department, they divided the employees into two. One group, they were able to work from home. The other group, they had to work in their office. And then after about 6 months, they measured the productivity. So productivity in this case was measured based on number of sick days, number of leaves, and the KPI, or like how many calls these agents were able to respond to successfully. And then that's how they got the 13%. They found out that people who were working from home, they took less sick days. They were healthier because they were able to manage their own time. They took less leaves because they were able to do everything else they needed in life while they were working from home. And they were more productive because they were able to craft the environment that they wanted. So that's a study that a lot of people actually talk about when it comes to working from home. It's one of the most notable ones out there. That same study also found out that employees who worked from home were 9% more engaged. A lot of us, and it's easy to see where this is coming from, that you could get a bit lonely. There's social isolation that's involved in working from home because you don't see other people. And if you're used to a workplace where your coworkers are just there, it's easy to grab lunch with them. I can tell how it could look like a lonely arrangement sometimes. But actually, in terms of the experiment, at least, they found out that the satisfaction rate was 9% more when people are working from home. So something for us to note, right? It's a comforting statistic, all of these, because a lot of the worry about work from home is on productivity and employee satisfaction. But as what we're seeing here is maybe it's not that big of a worry after all. Maybe there are solutions out there that can help you to still get the productivity and still keep your employees satisfied with their arrangement. And that's what I want to share with you tonight. So I framed it in this strategy. I wanted to give you a framework to understand the context of work from home and to be able to explain that instead of giving you a laundry list of things. Kasi yung laundry list, you can get that later. I'll give you resources for that. If you think about the work from home strategy, think about trust, empower, support, and talk. We'll go through each of these. And so number 1, trust. You have to communicate the why to build trust. I think a common mistake whenever companies are implementing work from home or any new initiative in general is they just go ahead and implement. A step that a lot of companies forget is taking the time to explain that why and to make sure that their employees understand what it is they're trying to do. Especially in working from home, it's very important to explain that why. Because you're building a high-performing team. The end goal of team engagement, team building, of giving your team resources is really to keep them high-performing. There are 3 different aspects of a high-performing team. So the first one is members know where they are going. They have a direction. So these are your goals, your objectives. Your members have a path that they can follow. The second is members know why they are moving. So it's not just that they have a North Star. It's that they know why they're walking or running towards that North Star. And then lastly, members create and actively create a psychologically safe space. If you think about these 3 elements of a high-performing team, it sounds like they could all be equal in importance, right? But actually, what we know from research is number 3, or creating a psychologically safe space, is the most important element of creating a high-performing team. A study in 2017 was done by Google. So Google, we know, super innovative, super creative company, and very, very successful. So they looked at what makes teams successful. They studied the most innovative teams in their company, and they found that these teams are psychologically safe. Psychological safety meaning people feel like they can ask questions and they won't be ridiculed if they make mistakes. So that's really what a psychologically safe space is. In a work from home setting, I bring this up because we need to be creative. We need to create that psychologically safe space for our teams. Especially if you think about the situation we're in now. I'm sure a lot of your team members are at home with their families, just trying their best to make sure they have enough food until this quarantine ends, or just fixing everything in their household. It's kind of a difficult time that we're in now for a lot of businesses, a lot of employees. And so creating that psychologically safe space, even while you're all virtual and not seeing each other, that becomes very, very important. And so let's frame this as your big why, right? Why are you implementing guidelines for working from home? It's because you want to take care of your people by giving them habits and norms that everyone can follow so things can just run as smoothly as possible. So, right, our first strategy is to trust. We have to communicate our why. The next strategy is to empower. We have to spread empowerment instead of fear. For me, at least, this is the most important one in our four-step strategy. It's because a lot of companies, and this is even the big companies, the fear is that their employees won't work or that they'll be lazy and multitask if they're at home. And in reality, I mean, that could be the case, right? We cannot stop our employees from multitasking or doing other things while they're working from home. The point we're trying to make here is we're dealing with adults. And what we know from adult learning is they are motivated when they know why they're doing something. They're motivated when they know their responsibility and they have ownership and accountability. And so instead of being extremely micromanaging each and every employee, what I recommend is communicating their responsibility, trying to help them feel like they have ownership in whatever task they're doing so that they can be internally motivated in the work. So I have some guidelines for you to help empower your people instead of coming from a place of fear in working from home. So again, number one, communicate to build trust. It's important to just continually be available, especially now we're in the very beginning weeks of the quarantine. I know as a leader or as a manager, it could be really tiring to be online all the time, to make yourself available all the time. But these are your key days and weeks to be able to build that trust. And then how to do that? Explain the why behind your thoroughness in implementation. Later on, you'll see that I have some detailed lists for you. And the reason behind having a lot of detail is so that you can build those into habits and then just not think about them because habits become automatic. The danger here is when your employees see a lot of detail, they might get threatened or they might feel like they're not autonomous because you're trying to manage their every step. The key then is to communicate the bigger why. And that's why we're talking about psychological safety and we're talking in terms of strategies versus lists. And then next and very important, we have to understand individual realities. So check for the right equipment. For example, not everyone will have the fastest internet connection. And so being able to ask your employees about that and being open to them sharing their situation, that's something that can not just build trust, but as a manager, you can also take note of like the best ways that you can get in touch with that employee. Also, find out about the person's work situation. I understand that some companies, you have very strict maybe hours that they have to be on their desk. So that's very applicable and that's okay if that's how you operate. It's just understand that we are in a different time now because we didn't all choose to work from home. And so getting to know where that person is coming from so you can both make arrangements that work for you. That'll be key in making this implementation as successful as possible. And then next, this is one of the basic steps. Set up your basics. Give people permissions to files or folders that they would need to work. Give them access to the company intranet so they don't have to keep on asking you for authorization. So next, have a conversation on work expectations. This is my best and I think my favorite tip to give when leaders are scared of people not being productive or people not being online and working. You just have to make sure that you, the employee and the manager, you both agree on your working hours. If it's 8 to 5, then they have to have agreement on that. Or are they flexible? And you also have to know what their planned working hours are. Talk about working styles and communication preferences. So for example, if you as a manager, you don't like getting calls, you want to get a text first. So these are things that you can talk about. It sounds very simple and common sense is what I hear a lot of people call it. It sounds like common sense, but these are when different styles come out. And as a manager, what you want is to manage for those differences so that they don't become sources of miscommunication at the end of the day. And then next, identify strengths and interests that might be useful in the virtual way of working. What I mean by this is, I'm sure you have employees there who are, it turns out they know how to use Google Hangouts very well, or they're very adept at Zoom and all these other platforms. You'll never know until you ask. And so I would encourage you to ask people about that, and maybe they can really help you with your implementation. Next, agree on measures of productivity and success. Clarify the deliverables and the time frame. So what I mean by this is, maybe at the beginning of the week, like on a Monday morning, make sure that you meet with your employee and talk about what they have to be delivering by the end of the week. If that is clear, then it can be a very outcome-based type of work versus you having to check them every day. Next, set how you will update your manager or how you as a manager want to be updated. So for example, do you want a one-on-one every week, or do you want an email with a summary? These are things that you have to talk about with your employee. Also, you have to talk to your employee about what productivity is and what they mean by that. Because maybe your understanding of productivity is different from theirs. So it's just good to level set. Next, and I think one of the most important tips also is to define team norms. You have to set some of those norms so that your team will know how to work together. So for example, the two most common norms that I think people should set are, number one, what's the expected response time to emails and chats? Because you can't see each other. You can't just say, hey, I sent you an email. Where's my reply? Like, you can't just talk to each other like that. So you have to sort of set an expectation. Is it one day? Is it a few hours? Like, what is it? And then the next, especially with team chat rooms. I know everyone's on Viber or Telegram in this day and age. And so just set expectations for what kinds of messages are accepted or allowable in those chat rooms. Then, of course, you have to recognize people for their efforts and their achievements. Like what we kept on talking about earlier, this is a new way of working, and I'm sure you have employees who are just adjusting. So make sure that if people are putting in the effort, you praise that and give them recognition. Next, constantly ask for feedback. So this is the only way that we can improve our work from home arrangements. Ask for feedback from your teammates, from your own managers, or because it is a different arrangement, you could even ask your household companions, like, how am I doing in my meeting? What's your perception of me talking to my employees? So these are things that we normally can't ask from the people around us. And if you're at home, it's a good chance to take that opportunity and really ask for more feedback about your own practices. So those are some of the guidelines. I just chose the key ones. You'll get more detailed ones later in a downloadable resource folder. Just a quick review. Our first strategy is to trust. Next is to empower. And now moving on to the third, it's support. We want to support desired behaviors using the right tools. I call this out because a lot of companies, they decide on the tool first and then expect employees to follow along with their behavior. And so you buy a tool, and then after 6 months, you realize that, oh, my investment wasn't worth it because no one's using it. And that's where this is coming from. And so my tip is, before you go ahead and buy a new tool or a new platform, think about the end goal. What are you trying to achieve with your team or with those employees? And then given the end goal, what are the behaviors that you want to exhibit? For example, is it collaboration? Is it creativity? So if you're clear about the behavior, then you can think about what tools can support that behavior. Once you go through that process of thinking through these decisions, then you can align whatever that tool is with your team's unique needs. It's only then that I would say decide on a final tool that you will use. Go ahead and buy it or download it or whatever that is. And then, of course, after maybe a few months, I would say give it about 3 months for you to really get more people to use your tool and to practice. After about 3 months of using that tool, make sure you get feedback. How is it going? What's good about the tool? What's hard about the tool? What's hindering people from using it? Once you get that feedback, and then you can go to the start of the process again and evaluate. So let me give you an example. So for example, I know a lot of companies do this. You send a Word document or an Excel file back and forth through email because the person A will edit it, person B will add something to it, just back and forth. And so the end goal that you desire is the most accurate, complete document that you can get. That's your end goal. The behavior there is maybe collaboration. You want people to be able to work on something together. What tools can support the behavior? If you think about sending email back and forth, having to download the file, updating the file, saving it, sending it again, that's a lot of steps. And I'm pretty sure that employees will miss something because so many things are happening. But if you use an online tool, let's say Google Docs, everyone can just log in and it updates automatically if someone revises something. So that could be a tool that supports the collaboration behavior. And then think about your team's unique needs. Let's say your team is a very diverse team. Some people are very adept at technology and some are not very good at it. And so you can use something like Google Docs because it's easy. It looks like a Microsoft Word document, so it'll be familiar. Versus having your team download like Slack or Microsoft Teams, which requires more knowledge and more skill on using virtual tools. And so that's taking your team's needs into account as you choose a tool that will get you the behavior and the end goal you want. Hopefully that example helped to clarify the process a little bit more. So we said we would trust. When you have the trust, you're building it through communication. You're giving your people context. You're giving people context so they feel empowered in the new way of work. And then you don't want people to just have a feeling of empowerment. You also want to give them tools that will support that and reinforce that feeling of empowerment. And lastly, talk constantly about the experience with your team. This is your chance to build that trust even further and to get to know more about how your team is doing in this new way of working. So just some quick tips are you can schedule weekly or bi-weekly check-ins. And then you can talk about debriefing the past week, share those things that you worked on, share some lessons learned, talk about projects in the week ahead. And the key here is getting what support might people need and who might be able to help them. The next tip is encourage virtual team lunches or breakfasts or coffee. I know a lot of teams do this. They would have like fun lunches together with the cameras on just for more cuento or just to relax a little bit in the middle of a busy day. You can have people pair up with people they haven't talked to a lot, or you can also play games using apps online. There's lots of ways that you can connect with your team even virtually. So those are our strategies. We want to trust, create empowerment, make sure the support exists, and talk to our teams constantly. So if you notice, the first letters of these words, it really spells out test. I want to emphasize this because in this new way of working, we're just testing. We're experimenting. We're trying to flex our muscle for creativity because a lot of companies are not very used to it. And so we have to forgive ourselves and our team members for mistakes along the way. And with that, that's the end of the 4 strategies that I can share with you tonight. Very happy to be here and to share these strategies, these guidelines, and I'd love to hear some of the questions that you might have. So I'll just stop sharing my screen here, Jerry.
Thank you very
Ayan.
much.
Yeah,
Thank you,
thank you
Eliza,
so
for
much,
that
Eliza.
presentation.
Yeah, so
Thank
guys,
you. Yeah.
if you have any questions to Eliza, yon, feel free to post them here so that yan, she can answer. Kung
Yeah.
sakali po, pwedeng Tagalog yung
Oh, yes, yes.
question. Don't be intimidated by yan, yung what you call this, English ni Eliza. So pwede
Ay.
po magtanong ng Tagalog.
Oo. Marunong naman po ako. mas
Yes.
mas nasanay lang ng konti na English.
The English, yes. Yeah, Sir Eric,
Sige.
you want to,
Eliza,
yeah.
let me shoot the first question.
Mm-mm.
Since the Philippines is it's surprised by this COVID situation that we have to adapt to WFM or work from home, what advice can you give to the owners who are more or less in that generation where they are actually used to the conventional way of seeing their teams working with them in the office? Uh, it's a mindset challenge. What can you advise to give to our owners?
Yeah, so for me, I think don't pressure yourself into getting like the most complicated set of tools. So cover your basics first, diba? What do you need to be able to set up work from home initially? So number one, have a way to see your people. So video conferencing, diba? So marami naman dyan, like Zoom, pwede rin Skype, or mga Google Hangouts. And then the other thing is you want to be able to share documents para you don't have to send email back and forth. You can see people updating. There are very cheap and easy ways, very free ways to do that, like Google Docs or OneDrive. And then the third thing you need is a way to chat. So Viber, I'm sure a lot of groups meron ng Viber, there's Telegram or WhatsApp or even Facebook Messenger. So I would say those 3 things are your essentials. If you just get a free tool or if you get something easy set up with those 3 capabilities, then you're good to go. So baka don't pressure yourself muna into a Microsoft Teams or a Slack kasi mas complicated pa yun. What you want now is something fast and easy for everyone to get used to it.
All right. You mentioned earlier regarding agreement on the deliverables. For example, today that this work from home has caught everyone, is there a need to adjust on the measurement scale or the KPIs as far as transitioning while we are in this quarantine stage?
Yeah, I think for me, maybe the current KPIs you have can just be treated as a baseline for now. And then my advice would be at the end of this week or at the end of next week, try to track like how is your employee doing against that baseline KPI. Because from there, then you can see is it too high of a target or too low of a target for my employee working at home. So then you can start adjusting. I say that because there's no standard, right? It's an art and science in terms of implementing work from home. Like I can't give you a specific number or a specific percentage, but it really depends on the employee and your relationship with that employee. So just treat that KPI as a standard and then go from there and adjust. Also note that our times now it's very challenging because we were pushed to working from home against our will. It's because of this COVID-19. And so forgive your employees a little bit more because I'm sure there's a lot of problems they're also grappling with.
Thank you for that, Sir Jerry.
Yeah, we have some questions here, Eliza, from Maria. He
Okay.
said she is asking, how do you monitor employees' working hours? Is time in, time out still applicable? Which is a very common question. Thank you so much, Maria.
Yes.
Yeah,
Measuring the number of
Mm-hmm.
hours spent at
yes. What's
work at home.
Yeah.
yes?
So
What's
I
your
would
take?
say it could be applicable if that's the agreement you have with your employee. So before you, we're in the middle of work from home now, but it's not too late to set that agreement. So I say that because it's very easy to track time in, time out. Actually, you can have everyone get on a chat group and say, "Hi, I'm here." And then if it's at 8:05, then that means their time in is 8:05. So there are easy ways to do it. There are also more complicated ways, like downloading certain websites. For example, I know of one called Time Doctor that actually tracks when people do their tasks and people can log in their time there. And so it's really up to you how strict you want to be in terms of tracking. But at the end of the day, the biggest advice there is you have to talk to your employee about it and be on the same page.
Okay. Yeah, agree with that. Another question from Luis. Yeah, he is asking what are the possible trainings or preparations they need to make their work from home arrangement more
Mhm.
efficient.
Yeah, so basics are try to watch different tutorials, maybe like on YouTube. There's lots there about using Zoom. I say Zoom a lot as an example because it's actually it's one of the recommended tools for the Philippines. It works on even low internet bandwidth and it has a lot of functions. And so I would say watch tutorials on the tools that you'll download because you don't know the hidden functions you can use to make it easier for your team. And then the next thing is don't just stop at knowing the what. Also look at how do you manage people. It's a very good opportunity now to get learning on like giving feedback or handling difficult conversations because lots of learning portals are giving their learning for free. So you could check like Coursera, LinkedIn Learning. These places have a lot of offerings on being a more effective manager. So those are probably some of the things that you can look for.
Yeah, thank you so much. And there's another question, follow-up question from Luis, based on the research that you mentioned about work from home efficiency, which is also I find what do you call this surprising that work from home is actually 13% more. Employees working from
Mhm.
home are actually 13% more productive. So why do you think there's still, oh no, it's cut, I think
Oh,
it's more on why do you think there's still many companies not doing it?
mhm. So I think it's because it depends on the nature of the jobs that are in that company. And so for example, if let's take a manufacturing company, right? Which we know a lot of companies in the Philippines, we have a lot of manufacturing companies. So, for example, in a company like that, not all of your jobs within that manufacturing company will lend themselves well to work from home. And I think what happens is in most companies, if not all of their jobs can work from home, then they avoid implementing it because then you'll have more of a difference in terms of how you handle your people. So I think that's where most companies are coming from. That's why they haven't really implemented work from home.
I see. Yeah. Yeah. I actually have a related question to that. Do you think that working from home is applicable to all or many companies, or meron bang mga binabagayan siyang industry or companies?
So I think for me, instead of looking at what company is applicable to work from home, look at what are the jobs within that company that lend themselves
Mm,
well to work from home. Kasi it's about the nature of the job at the end of the day. Like, ano
okay.
ba yung deliverables ng job na yon? Or ano ba yung main processes na ginagawa ng job na yon? Because in one company, you have jobs of different nature. So baka someone, let's say in marketing, baka pwede work from home kasi, di ba, they're creative, it's mostly writing, making copies of posters or whatever that is. Versus in that same company, baka meron silang, let's say, someone working in a factory. So mas hindi yun applicable to work from home. So we look at jobs versus the company as an overall.
I see. Okay. And I also have a question in terms of implementing work from home. Do you suggest simultaneous work from home day? For example, a Monday or Friday, that's a work from home day for all the employees, or kaya kanya-kanya na some are taking it on a Monday, on a Tuesday, depende sa color coding, etc. So what do you suggest?
So I actually read research about this a while back. Nakalimutan ko lang what the research was, but what it says is for companies na hindi nag-work yung work from home, it's because they implemented a simultaneous day. Yung parang may rule. Yeah, yung may rule na lahat tayo Friday work from home. So hindi siya masyado nag-work kasi the main point of work from home is the main point of work from home is hindi
yan pala may iniisip ko.
Well, kasi it works for some, pero diba, the main nature kasi of work from home is it's there to help you kung kailangan mo. So for example, your kid, kuwari kung may anak ka, tapos siguro parent-teacher conference niya Wednesday. So useless yung Friday work from home kung Wednesday mo kailangan mag-work from home. So at the end of the day, think about work from home as a benefit to make life easier for your employee.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Sir Eric, do you have other questions?
Eliza, post-COVID, no, after all of this current situation has passed, if government would be listening to us right now, is this something that you would like? Is this something that you would like to recommend? Coming from an environment abroad, and it has worked for you, is this something that you would like to advise that most companies apply? Just like what Sir Jerry said, no? Baka pwede nang tigilan yung color coding. Ano na lang? Shift na lang sa work from home.
So honestly, for me, I would very much agree that work from home is needed now in our country. And if you think about it, it's already happening in many different companies worldwide. We also have very capable, very trustworthy employees in the Philippines. So why not, right? Like maybe it is the time for us to try this, to be virtual, to have that digital and virtual mindset. Para it's a new skill din. And what we saw from the trends, diba? Hindi siya mawawala anytime soon. Like the whole world will just keep on pushing for more virtual work. And so why shouldn't we stop ourselves, or why shouldn't we start practicing now? Para when the time comes na the workplace is very virtual, then we're ready for it. We have the skills for it.
Great. Thank you for your insights.
Yeah, I think it's a perfect time. We plan to cut it by 9:00 for the prayer rally, right? Any last words, Eliza?
Yeah, I think so. For me, there's a lot of tips, guidelines, strategies that you can find on working from home. And you can read all of those as much as you want. But at the end of the day, the biggest thing is really communicate with your employee, like create that trust with them so you can talk about what their struggles are with working from home, or how you can support them to be more successful as they work from home. Because you can implement whatever tool or whatever guideline, best practice that you see, but if you don't have that open line of communication and that trust with your employee, then it's not going to work. So really, the best thing to successfully do work from home is to just meet the person where they're at and be as human as possible.
Yeah. Great. Yeah, thank you so much, Eliza. for this very
Thank you very
insightful
much.
discussion about work from home, which is
Yeah.
such a timely discussion, given that you mentioned earlier we're forced into this situation.
Yeah, thank you so
Yes.
much for having me in your community.
Yeah,
Well,
thank you.
we hope that this won't be the last time, Eliza.
Oh, I hope so too.
Being an OD consultant as well, I'm sure there'll be a lot more that you can share to our viewers regarding your expertise. So thank you very much.
Right, thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah, thank you, Eliza. And for those of you who want to download the what do you call this
For
sheets of
resources, yeah.
resources, yeah, we'll just put in, just comment download in the comment section, okay, and then we'll find a way to send it to you. Okay, so if you want to download the resources from Eliza, which are very very good, I've seen them. That can really help you implement a work from home arrangement for your company. Comment, download in the comment section so we can find a way to send it to you. Yan. Yes, Sir Eric.
Yep. So maraming salamat po, Miss Eliza. Maraming salamat sa ating mga viewers tonight. I'm sure you got many tips now and you'll be more confident to discuss it with your teams in the office, that you may be able to try it out based on the framework that Miss Eliza shared with us tonight.
Yes, and before we go, I'd like to thank our virtual summit co-presenter, Union Bank Global Linker. So si JP and si Mao, thank you so much for supporting us for the
Thank you,
first
Union
ever
Bank.
virtual business summit last March 3 and 4. And to our advocacy partners, thank you so much, AFI, Agoni Gosha, Philippine Marketing Association, Philippine Retail Association, Let's Eat Pare, Institute of Management Consultants, Retail Academy, Lipinor, and Olern. Ayan, so maraming nagko-comment. So if you want to download the resources of Eliza, just comment download in the comment section, and then yeah, we'll find a way to send it to you. So thank you so much, everyone. Again, this has been our fourth day
Yes.
ng
Fourth na,
Olern
partner.
Live. Yes,
4 out
20,
of 21.
yes, 17 to go.
17 to go. So,
Yeah,
uh,
so thank you so much, everyone, and see you tomorrow for another exciting discussion on. We'll talk about building self-confidence tomorrow, okay? Which we all need. Because sometimes yan, medyo na kinakabahan tayo, we lose our self-confidence, etc. So we'll talk about that tomorrow with Tony Miranda. She's going to be here live. So kita-kits tayo tomorrow for our episode ng Olern Live. Bye, everyone!
see you tomorrow.
See you!